Alrighty, folks, good evening to you. It's about 8:20 here at night, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. Winter weather advisories out for most of the state tonight, really except for just the southwest portion of the state here, and that's going to be for some messy snow that's headed our way. Tonight's video update is being brought to you again by High Voltage Mobile DJ Services. You can contact Nathan at 630-9465, or make sure you visit him on the web here at djhighvoltage.com. Nathan's got a lot of great services that he can provide you if you need a mobile DJ for your wedding, or for after prom, or for a party that you want to just live it up. Nathan's got a lot of great things, and lots of lasers and all kinds of just really cool stuff. You can go to his website. You can check out some pictures of that. Give him a call and tell him Southern Indiana Weather sent you. All right, we have a lot to talk about tonight, folks. This is one of those systems that has the potential to overachieve big time, or it could be a bust. But I really don't think it's going to be a bust. Let me go ahead and put the radar here into motion over the past 2.5 hours, and you can get an idea of how this system is producing. Excuse me. Now again, the blues and up into the purples are some of the heavier snow. Whites are your lighter snow amounts. You can see how fairly quick moving this system is. It's going to overtake the state here fairly soon, and that's going to bring us the chance for some decent accumulating snows. If I just go ahead and throw our wind speeds on here, you can also notice that it's really pretty windy out here. And unfortunately, those winds are going to pick up as well. Temperature-wise, we're not too bad compared to where we have been. We're not in the single digits. We're in the 20s. Now, overnight tonight, our temperatures are actually going to rise a little bit overnight in advance of this system, and that's because we have winds being funneled in out of the southwest. It's going to advect some of that warmer air our direction. Now, not enough warm air to eat at our snow totals. We're going to stay plenty cold enough for snow, so that's not a concern tonight. But we will rise a little bit in temperature, so the wind chills, well, they're not as bad as they have been. If we just put them out here, we're down to single digits and teens for our wind chills area-wide, and that's certainly better than the 10 below that we had this morning. All right, let's go ahead and talk about timing this out on future radar. Let's put this into motion here. Here we are, right about where we are. Here's future radar at about 9 o'clock tonight, and you can see we have a pretty decent snow swath. This is actually for 10 p.m. now, starting to move into the northern part of the state. Notice how quickly this starts to overtake the state, and it starts to just sort of develop and blow up right over us. And don't be fooled by the greens. Sometimes the radar product just doesn't do the snow algorithm right. This is all snow. This is not rain, so we don't have to worry about that. Notice it gets pretty heavy at times overnight. Here we are by 3 a.m., and by 3 a.m. it's really starting to overtake the whole state. Heavy snow moving in here at 4 and 5 a.m. By the time 7 a.m. comes, we're just bound to a little bit of light stuff in the state, and then really by 8 and 9 o'clock, most of the action's gone, okay? So this is going to be a pretty fast-moving system. Moves in, for the most part, after midnight again. Here's what it looks like at midnight tonight, and we've got maybe just some very light things starting to move into our area. Main chunk of the snow to our north, and again, by the time 7 and 8 a.m. comes, it's mostly gone. Now, we'll have another system that'll move in on Sunday. No worries about this for us. We're going to warm up plenty in advance because the low looks like it's going to take us to the north. Here's what 10 a.m. on Sunday looks like, 7 a.m. on Sunday, and you'll just be able to see this as I advance this. It just skirts right to our north and isn't something that we have to worry about. Now on Sunday night, though, notice this next little band that wants to move down here, and we may have to worry about a potential for a little bit of even light rain with this. This would be rain because we would be well above freezing in portions of our area over at this time, and that may change over to some light snow flurries on the backside, but overall, Sunday doesn't look like too much of anything to worry about, really. As you see, Saturday looks like the best, and it looks like the worst of it starts to move in, we'll say anywhere from about 1 a.m. all the way until about 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning is kind of the sweet spot for where you'll see most of your accumulating snow, all right? All right, let's talk about wind speeds as well, and you don't have to understand everything about the colors, just understand blue and green are windy. And as I put this into motion, just understand that it stays windy the entire time. In fact, as you go throughout some of your day, I would expect if you were out driving overnight, you would see near whiteout conditions. Now, most of us will be asleep whenever the storm system moves through, but we'll have it blowing around our snow tomorrow afternoon as well. Some of these brighter shades of green that you see here are really 25-mile-an-hour and greater winds tomorrow. So this is certainly going to be a windy day, and then it starts to die down a little bit as you go into the nighttime, nocturnal hours, but then it kicks up pretty good again for Sunday. So the wind is certainly going to be a factor this weekend, especially with what snow that we could end up expecting. All right, let's talk about how much we could expect. And we'll take a look at what the NAM model says. And again, remember, here's your cold front. You connect to your lines. Here's your low pressure. Cold front's moving in advance like this. We're looking by Saturday at 9Z, so that's 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Notice these heavier pockets of green showing up, and then one slide further, notice how the green just explodes over us. That's heavier amounts of precipitation over us, okay? And then that advances on east. Now, the GFS model, I want you to just notice really quickly, the GFS doesn't show that same amount over us. The GFS has not really had a good handle on this system overall. I've liked the placement of the NAM and how the NAM has been handling this, so I've trended more towards the NAM guidance with this system. Let's talk about snow totals, what the models have been saying with this system. All right, here's what the latest guidance, well, one of the latest guidance says on the NAM, from the NAM model. And basically, let me just illustrate what you've got. You got your color bar down here at the bottom, but you got a 1-inch band here, 2-inch, and then you got your 3-inch, your yellows are 4-inch, your 5-inch, even some 6-inch bands by the time you get into these darker greens. All right. Now, is this my forecast? Absolutely not. This is just one model's prediction. We want to take a look at multiple models to come up with a snowfall forecast. Well, you can get the idea out of this is we've got some decent snow totals potentially to contend with. All right. And you know, really, I mean, we're under winter weather advisories right now. By the time you get into the 4, 5, and 6-inch range, that should be winter storm warning quality. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see some of our counties upgraded. Looks like at this point the National Weather Service is going to leave it alone, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of our counties did get upgraded. All right, here's what the high resolution NAM takes about. Now understand there's a difference between the two of these. I don't have the high resolution in this one. I don't always show these colorful maps. Sometimes I show these nicer looking maps, but these can be a little bit harder to read because they use all these blue shaded tones, and it's just very easy to read this because of the separation in colors between it. All right, this one right here is basing it off of an actual snow ratio. This one here on our high resolution is basing it off of a 10-to-1 liquid equivalent liquid to snow ratio. All right, basically what that means is for every 1/10 of an inch of liquid precipitation that would fall, you would have an inch of snow. That's what the 10-to-1 ratio means. Problem is, we're not going to have a 10-to ratio system. This is going to be a 15-to-1 ratio, if not even 20-to-1 ratio at times, as cold as we are in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So if we take a look at these snow totals on this model, we got to double them to get a 20-to-1, and at least 1.5 of them to be able to get to the next. So this first that starts in blue is 2 inches. No, that's really either 3 inches or 4 inches by the time we raise the snow totals. So again, and then this would be a 4 or 5 inch by the time you get to that. So basically what I want you to see is the high resolution model data is lining up very nicely with what the NAM is. There's pretty good model agreement between the regular NAM model and the high resolution model. So that helps me build my forecast with a little bit greater confidence. All right. So here's what I'm thinking as far as snow forecast accumulations. All right. In general, I think a 2 to 4 inch swath area wide. Now, is everyone going to get 2 to 4 inch in this? No. If you live closer to this line, it's possible, given this type of a system, that the trace to 1 inch may end up more like this. But the trend has been certainly to push the heavier snow accumulations westward with this. So it wouldn't surprise me, even with this panning out, if this 3 to 5 inch did indeed push a little bit further to the west. It wouldn't also surprise me one bit if this system was a little bit more of an overachiever type of a system, like we've talked about in the past as well. It certainly gains that characteristics. If you look at it on radar, it looks very healthy, and with the bitterly cold temperatures, yeah, I could see this being a little bit of an overachiever. All right. But in general, I think 2 to 4 inches area wide, heavier snow totals. Obviously, the more into southeast Indiana you go, where I've placed them in a 3 to 5. Evansville and points to the south, I'm putting more into the trace to 1 inch. Wouldn't surprise me if Evansville ended up with a little bit more of an inch if we get this system being a little bit more of an overachiever, but this is just really what I think based off of the latest model guidance that we've got, okay? And remember, these snowfall accumulation maps, these are not perfect. I've never had one of these that I've drew up that has been 100% right, okay? These are just general trends, and the general trends that you want to get out of there. So let's say you're down here in Newburgh, for example, and Newburgh looks to be pretty much on the line between a trace to 1 inch or 2 to 4 inches. Well, it could go either way for you. Does that mean you side with one or the other? Just understand that it could easily be in that 2 to 4 inch. And if you're just, a few miles off of the line with one or the other, again, very easily you could be on that line. So don't take these as just what they are, as just literal gospel, okay? There's room for a little bit of error in here, all right? But in general, it looks like a pretty decent accumulation for much of the area. All right, my apologies. My cat was starting to climb on the back of my chair here. I had to pause the video. Real quick, I want to talk about temperatures as well next week, because it looks like we are just headed into the deep freeze again. Not only are we going to have this snow, and thankfully we get a little bit of a warm-up potentially on Sunday, but with that warm-up, it comes at a price. And here's what we're saying for Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., and we're going below 0 again. So we're looking at bitter cold temperatures. Now, not as bitter cold. Here's what the GFS is. It's not as bitter cold as the Canadian. The Canadian model wants to take us to about 10 below. Now, I will say this, a Canadian model usually handles the Arctic air mass a lot better. So that's something that we want to watch out for. I'm not sold on 10 below yet, but I do think that 4 below may be a little bit low compared to what it could be. So I'm sort of splitting the difference between the two. By Wednesday morning, we go above 0 again over southwest Indiana, according to the GFS. According to the GEM, no, area-wide stays. The Canadian GEM, area-wide, we stay below 0 again. So again, there's a little bit of model disagreement about next week, but what we do understand is it's going to be absolutely bitterly cold. All right. SouthernIndianaWeather.com. Here's your latest forecast. Again, we rise in our temperatures overnight tonight. We'll rise up to about 30, 31 by tomorrow morning. Then once that snow has moved through, by the afternoon hours, we'll start to plummet down. So during the afternoon hours, we're not going to be rising anymore. We're going to be actually falling through the 20s during the day. Again, 2 to 4 inches of accumulation across most of the area. Winter weather advisory in effect until noon. All right, going down to about 12 degrees tomorrow night, Sunday. If you have some free plans Sunday afternoon after you get out of church, I advise you to take full advantage of this, okay? 40 degrees on Sunday, this is the only time we're going to hit that warm as far as the eye can see on the models. So enjoy Sunday, because it looks like a very, very, very nice day. And it's a light snow showers early in the day, but not too bad otherwise. Windy, but hey, we'll take 40, because then by the time Monday hits, we're only hitting 11 degrees for a high, and I'm forecasting 6 below on Monday night. And remember, my forecasts are based off of Huntingburg, Indiana, because that's where I live at, and that's where I can verify my forecast based on the Huntingburg Airport. So if you live north of this area, then it would be even lower for you. So places like Bedford, Bloomington, probably 7, 8, maybe even 10 below. We're looking for some bitterly cold temperatures, folks, and that's the bottom line. Only 7 for a high on Tuesday, down to 4 below again that night. And then by the time we get to the weekend, and we may see the low to mid-30s again, boy, that's going to be nice. So, but again, if we look into the long-range models, this pattern looks like it's going to stay bitterly cold really for the next couple of weeks. It just doesn't look like we've got an end in sight at this point. All right, one quick thing. If you go to SouthernIndianaWeather.com, you can also click on Interactive Radar up here. And with our Interactive Radar, we've got a brand new Interactive Radar that is absolutely great. And this Interactive Radar, you can actually track the snow very nicely as it heads our way, all right? You can put on the storm reports up here to see exactly what's going on with temperature data and the whole 9 yards. So check that out. It's there for your use. All right, that's it for tonight's video update, folks. Again, we've got accumulating snow on the way, winter weather advisory until noon tomorrow. And with these winds, this is just going to make an absolute mess on the road. So it's best if you can just stay in tomorrow. I would highly advise it, folks. Really, travel after midnight could start to get difficult, so keep that in mind. By later tomorrow afternoon, roads ought to be better, but stay off of them in the morning. That's the best thing. All right, that's it for now, folks. Another video update tomorrow for Southern Indiana Weather. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Have a great night, folks.